Hi everybody and welcome. I'd like to take just a second and apologize if my pet bird makes any weird sounds in this video. She doesn't like that I'm talking to you and not to her. We're going to be discussing two different double decreases in this video. There is the S2KP, sometimes known as a centered double decrease, and there is the S2PP, which is a purlwise version of the same decrease. This is a mitered square, and it was made by doing a double decrease on the right side using a knit decrease, and that works great if you're working in garter stitch. But if we're working a mitered square in stockinette stitch and we don't add a few extra decreases on the purl rows, we end up with a kite shape instead of a square. So that's why we're going to do the purl side decrease. This little sample, I have done a decrease on the purl side on some purl rows, not all of them. And you can see that it is far more square than our lovely little kite shape here. So let's get straight to the decrease. I have a little sample here with some knitting, and I've done a first row to set up. And in my Evensong pattern or my Point Me to an LYS pattern, I write this centered decrease such that it is worked on the 2 stitches before and 1 stitch after the central marker. So part of my instructions are to replace the marker, and we will get to that also on the purl equivalent. So what we're going to do is we're just going to knit over to 2 stitches before that marker. And obviously, if you're doing this as part of a pattern, you're going to work whatever stitch pattern that you're supposed to. Alrighty, so here we are, 2 stitches before that marker, and this decrease on the knit side is actually pretty easy. What we're going to do is we are going to slip these 2 stitches together like a knit 2 together, take the marker off temporarily, knit the next stitch, and then pass these 2 stitches together as one unit over that stitch that we knit. So let's do that together. We're going to put our needle into these 2 stitches like we're going to knit 2 together, but all we're going to do is pass them to the right needle. We're going to take off our marker temporarily, knit this stitch, and then pass our slipped stitches over that knit stitch. Ta-da! And we're going to put our marker back on. Alrighty, so we have decreased and we end up with one lovely stitch that looks like, hey, I'm the prime stitch, I'm the boss right there. So I'm going to work to the end of my row, I'm going to turn around, get to the purl side, and then we will show you how to do the purl version of that stitch, which is a little bit more involved. So we're going to turn around, we're on the purl side, and on the purl side, we are going to work to 1 before the marker. And that is because this stitch right next to the marker, and on the purl side, it's after the marker, is actually the center of the decrease. So our decrease involves these 3 stitches between my thumbs. So we're going to work to that point. I'm just going to purl over there until there's 1 stitch. Again, obviously, if you're working this as part of a pattern, you're going to work in pattern. Okay, so now we've got 1 stitch left here before our stitch marker. And what we're going to do is we are going to slip that stitch like we're going to knit it, but just slip it. We're going to take off our stitch marker temporarily. We are going to slip the next stitch as if we're going to knit it. Then we're going to put our left needle into the fronts of both of those and slide them back to the left needle. So what we've done is we've adjusted how they're sitting on that needle. Now we're going to put our stitch marker back on the right needle so that it's all there when everything's done. We're going to pull our yarn to the front because part of this stitch involves purling. And the next thing we're going to do takes a little bit of needle gymnastics. We are going to slip these 2 stitches like we are purling them together through the back loop. So that means we take our right needle tip around the back and go into both back legs of those stitches and just slide them over. Then we're going to purl the next stitch. I like to give it a little tug to tighten it up. And then we are going to slip those 2 slipped, pass those 2 slipped stitches right over that latest stitch and call it good. Then we're going to work to the end of the row, and I will show you when we get there that on the right side, that decrease that we just did looks exactly like the one that we did on the previous row. We've got that boss stitch sitting right there on top, and all of our stitches are leaning in towards that decrease. Have fun. Thank you.